Next one, finding missing angles. Now missing angles are just as easy. So the first thing we did before is we labelled the sides we've got. So we're going to label this one O because it's opposite the angle. This one A because it is next to the angle. So, ka, toa. We've got O and A, so we're using toa. So let's write that out. T, O, A. It's like a triangle. Now, because we're finding the angle, we know the angle always goes with sin, cos or tan. So in this case, we're finding T. So we've got T is O divided by A. So let's write that out. T equals O divided by A. Now we know T stands for tan. And then tan, we know X, the angle always goes with that. So tan X equals the opposite, which is 3, over the adjacent, which is 6. Now we need to get X on its own. And you know that when you're finding out X, you always do the opposite. And we've got tan here. So the opposite of tan is just the inverse. So we do tan minus 1, 3 over 6. And when we type that into our calculator and round it, we get 26.6 degrees. Now, if you're using a phone to try and get this tan minus 1, you need to turn your phone around so it's in landscape mode, and then there will be a button that says inverse or just INV, and then it will come up with tan minus 1. If you're using a calculator, you need to press shift and then the tan button to get tan minus 1. Okay, next one. So this one, exactly the same again, label your sides. So this one's opposite the angle, so O. This one is next to the angle, but we also know it's opposite the long side, opposite the right angle. So it must be the long side, which is the hypotenuse, so H. Write out so, ka, toa, O and H. So that's so. S-O-H, and it's our triangle. And we're finding the angle, so we know the angle always goes with sin, cos or tan. So we've got S is O divided by H. We know S stands for sin, and we know the angle always goes with that, so sin X equals opposite, which is 4, divided by the hypotenuse, which is 15. We now know we need to do the opposite of sin to get rid of it. So the opposite of sin is sin minus 1. 4 over 15. I would always leave that as a fraction rather than change it to a decimal because you don't want to round it until the very end. And if we type that into a calculator, we get 15.5 degrees.